The popular liberal Twitter account with the name Erica Marsh, which gained more than 130,000 followers in just 8 months for her liberal takes, is likely fake, according to the Washington Post. The self-described proud Democrat does not show up on any local phone or voting records. And according to the Washington Post, the Biden presidential campaign, where she claimed she worked as a field organizer, has no record of her. She also claimed to have volunteered at the Obama Foundation, which also has no record of her. Marsh's account has been popular among conservatives who've regularly mocked her postings. In response to the SCOTUS affirmative action decision last week, the Erica Marsh account tweeted, "Today's Supreme Court decision is a direct attack on Black people. No Black person will be able to succeed in a merit-based system, which is exactly why affirmative action-based programs were needed."
On her TikTok account, there are copies of her tweets posted, but no videos of her speaking or showing her face. According to the Washington Post, the 3 selfies she had posted on Twitter, quote, bear the hallmarks of digital manipulation. Senior researcher at the Citizen Lab at the University of Toronto, John Scott Roughton, said, "I strongly suspect this person doesn't exist." The Washington Post brought questions about the account to employees at Twitter, and the account was suspended on Sunday. So this is a case of people on the right being a little gullible. So this was a resistance lib account. It sound very self-parodying. So it was mostly retweeted by a lot of right-wing people being like, can you believe Democrats actually believe this?
Candace Owens, I remember, got a bite at this particular affirmative action apple. I mean, a lot of people in particular were dragging the affirmative action tweet, and with good reason. My perspective was, even if it were real, that one person saying something blatantly stupid and kind of racist doesn't necessarily reflect on a broader kind of left-leaning ideology and shouldn't be taken as the rule anyway. But it's doubly pernicious to consider that this person might not even have existed or might have even been a creation by a more conservative leading person to get exactly the kind of response, kind of creating your own libs of TikTok, your own libs of Twitter, because there aren't libs that are embarrassing enough on their own.
Yeah, you got to be careful not to fall for these kinds of things because you end up looking kind of dumb.
I mean, so what do you make of this? I mean, we talk a lot about...
people are just willing to believe, the worst things about their political opponents. This happens on, and this is, people on, very partisan people on both sides are easy marks for stuff like this.
But specifically, what do you make about it in the context of the conversation we've been having about disinformation? I mean, it obviously is true that in a digital space, you can do things like, I mean, the issue with their images, the reason why folks are saying it's suspicious or has the hallmarks of digital manipulation is because it's the same face and all of her pictures making the same expression, and like the backgrounds seem to be tweaked and small things seem to be tweaked. With the innovation of AI, we have people using those audio dubbing things to make duets between, Cardi B and Duke Ellington and Prince, and you can take people from the grave and have, Prince rapping Megan Thee Stallion lyric, and you can do all of these things with deep fakes. Wasn't there this issue with an advertisement in the Republican primary where there was an issue of using a deep fake of Donald Trump and an ad that people were very upset about? I mean, this stuff is happening. So there is, I think...
it's not prevented. It's only going to get worse. We're going to reach a tipping point where you're just not going to be able to trust the authenticity. Right now, it's still operating at the level that I think only gullible people and, frankly, the elderly, the less tech savvy are likely to fall for these things.
But look at this. I thought this was, I had no reason to not believe this was real because there are liberals who say dumb stuff like this all the time, right? And the issue I was thinking about was that there was a DeSantis attack ad that used fake AI images of Trump embracing Fauci. That, for obvious reasons, Trump supporters were very upset at for legitimate reasons. So what do you do? Elon Musk
They should cry more, like Trump has never...
Sure.
Trump's people would never
But come on, Robbie. I mean, these kinds of things can have an impact on people's understanding politically of what's going on. There was a race in Michigan for governor back in 2018 where there was a progressive candidate who was a brown guy, South Asian, I believe, and running against Gretchen Whitmer. There was a third party that entered the race who was also South Asian, who had an Indian-sounding name, who had this horrible story about how he had abused dogs. right? He was a big pharma guy and had these labs, and there was this dog abuse scandal. And
Anthony Fauci was running for governor of Michigan? I'm sorry.
And when the leftist candidate would ask people, well, how are you voting? Are you going to support me?
Sure.
They kept saying, no, you abuse dogs. So there was this very purposeful, you can incept stories that really affect the outcome in close races by using fake news.
As you know, that's just politics. I mean, that's as old as time. That's not like the desire to do that is going to continue, and the technology is just going to change, and people have to be discerning, and you have to trust the people, and reporters should do the work of earning credibility when they say, hopefully our viewers trust us when we say, this is actually fake, you should not believe this. They trust us because they know that we are fair-minded people who try to do the best job.
What about
what else can you do?
The adage, lie goes around the world twice before the truth gets out the door, or whatever that. I mean,
well, then we're all going to be just besieged by lies and never know what's true, and all going to become stupid and conspiratorial. But that's not what happens. We generally become more educated over time. And
Ravi, this is exactly why there are people who, even if they disagree with the way that quote-unquote misinformation has been handled, because what constitutes misinformation can be so subjective, will agree that there is a real issue here. I do think it's an issue if in a Republican primary, one of the candidates is doctoring images or using doctored images to spread lies about their opponent. Now, the question that I'm interested in is what to do about it.
The other person says those are doctored images, they are not real, and you got to trust people to make up their minds. What else can you do?
At any point, should there be any consequences for a candidate that perhaps willingly and intentionally, as opposed to accidentally, continues to try to do a kind of false advertising to the public? Is Elon Musk right to censor this account? Even if it is a fake parody account, did he make the right decision to suspend this account?
Well, I think the policy, I believe, on Twitter is that if it's a parody account, it has to say it's a parody account. So, he is stipulated. I think that's a new rule under Elon Musk.
What is the line between a parody account, as in, hi, I'm, hip hop Andrea Bocelli or whatever, versus I'm just creating a personality on the online. I'm not pretending to be somebody else. I'm not trying to represent myself as the real Starbucks account and say, we're firing Howard Schultz, we're unionizing the whole company, right? I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to confuse anybody about being a real person, but I am creating a fake identity. Is that discouraged or prohibited by the guidelines?
I mean, we can always craft some sort of edge case for social media rules, but I don't think it's wrong to want parody accounts to label themselves necessarily.
But is this a parody account is the question. There's so many Twitter accounts that are anonymous, that have anime avatars as their logo, that are big and popular, and we feel like we know them, Maple Cocaine, like these big accounts. But we don't know who they are. We don't know what their real ideology is.
Is there a difference between posting a photo, like that's that woman, and that she's a stock photo image maybe or something, but that's not her. But if you had like a Pikachu or something, you're obviously, that's not you. I don't know.
It's a difficult question.
It's hard thing to work out.
It's a difficult question.
But I generally would, the broader question, what do we do about this? The issue of having a view that this is a problem that some kind of centralized authority must solve becomes, well, then when you have the Hunter Biden laptop case where everyone in power or with expertise assures you and the media, and then they enforce it, that this is fake or manipulated or not true, and they get it wrong, there's just such a loss of credibility.
Absolutely. And I do think the community notes function is well served.
It's great
here, but in this scenario,
they got, you would appreciate this, they got Josh Hawley yesterday. I mean, I'm sure it was some intern or something. His account tweeted some quote that it was
about the founding fathers and slavery or something like that.
Oh,
it was about religion. It was like the founding fathers.
The importance of religion.
Love.
I'm
like, I mean, all you have to do is read a book to know how wrong that was.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's a great feature.
I do think that in this scenario, I don't think that the community notes would have found this. Now, once the Washington Post digs into this story, reports that this is likely not a real person, people can add the community notes. But this seems like a role of journalism, and I'm skeptical that if this particular account weren't so embarrassing to liberals, that the Washington Post would ever have investigated whether it was real or not. And that gives me some pause. Do we only know the truth here because there happen to be powerful, ideologically aligned institutions who wanted to get to the bottom of why this person was being so embarrassing to their ideology?
Well, we're not going to live in a perfect world. Cases are going to go forward that we miss or that you assume it's true or genuine. Everyone should just be cautioned to be a little bit more careful online and not believe everything you see necessarily, or look for the hallmarks of manipulated or fake, or like some weird text appearing, or
and
even
also,
that image, it does look manipulated.
And don't put your whole political project on the idea of dunking on somebody else. I think you can make arguments about why you don't agree with affirmative action, why you support the decision that didn't involve pointing at someone and just doing a ha-ha Ralph Wiggums.
Indeed. More Rising right after this.